For years, Kenya Airways has been a symbol of national pride, the national carrier, and Kenya's flag in the air to various destinations. But after nearly 10 years of debt, mismanagement and misfortune, Kenya's parliament has made steps to nationalize the airline.
Airways announcing a 4.8 billion shilling net loss.
Has posted a 7.5 loss in terms of billion shillings.
After recording a 12.9 billion shillings loss.
The huge losses racked up year after year by the national carrier will soon be added to the taxpayers' financial burdens. So, what kind of company is the government acquiring on behalf of Kenyans? Will it be an asset or a liability? Using Kenya Airways financial reports, classified audit reports, leaked documents, as well as interviews with current and former senior staff members and experts who have followed KQ's rise and fall, Africa Uncensored can now tell the story of our national airline. It's the story of how, in the space of 1 decade, KQ went from being the pride to a problem. So, what lessons can we learn from its decline, and what, if anything, can be done to restore its position as a pride of Africa? Kenya Airways was established in the year 1977 after the disbandment of the East African Airways, which was jointly owned by Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. Over the years, the company accumulated massive financial problems and debts, which occasioned its privatization in 1996. After the privatization, Kenya Airways' fortunes turned as they started reporting a positive bottom line amid changes such as a Douala crash that hit the airline in 2007. In 2011, Kenya Airways launched Project Mawingu, a 10-year strategy that was to position Nairobi as a hub for flights and Kenya Airways as the airline of choice on the continent. It was sold as an ambitious move to cement KQ's dominance in Africa, a narrative that drowned out any concerns about the design of the project.
Now we're looking at increasing our aircraft. Currently we have 44 aircrafts, and by that time we'll be looking at about 90 or so aircrafts. We'll double the aircraft by the end of the 10th year. We've sliced the plan into 2. So the first 5 years we've already started it and we're implementing it.
Not a single manager questioned Project Mawingu, because at that time there was a lot of fear. KQ did not have the capacity at that point. I tried to question it. I got an axe. Mawingu, is a cloud. And this thing was clouded in mystery. I remember just before I was leaving, when Naikuni was talking about it, KQ was supposed to have, if I remember right, over 100 aircrafts by the year 2020. And as he presented this Mawingu at that time, I was shocked that not a single manager, KQ is going to spend, we're not talking small money, over 100 billion shillings here. Not a single manager questioned Project Mawingu, because at that time there was a lot of fear.
The management started firing some of its most experienced employees and hiring younger but inexperienced staff, which later affected the airline immensely.
And unfortunately, a lot of these people who built Kenya are dead. When I talk about this, I talk from a very emotional point. It makes me even feel like crying, because most of the people who built this airline were fired, and suddenly, because they did not agree to be misused. I buried Merita a few months ago. I think about 6-7 months ago. She's the one who opened China for Kenya Airways. Very unfortunate, but that's the way the world is.
As staff numbers were being thinned, Project Mawingu, spearheaded by the then managing director Titus Naikuni, was sold as the golden path to Kenya Airways' future.
I joined the airline February 2003 to be exact. And when I joined it, I looked at it and I said, look, we are in a position where we could build a world-class airline here. A lot of people didn't believe me. There was a bit of skepticism. And of course, the organization changed, the board changed, the number of senior managers changed, and we started getting some beliefs out in there.
The plan seemed straightforward. Kenya Airways was to expand its fleet from 31 aircraft as of 2010 to 107 aircraft by 2021 and destinations from 53 to 115 routes in 77 countries by 2021, up from 45 in 2011. But just a few years after Project Mawingu took off, Kenya Airways' profits began to nosedive.
There were a number of risks that eventually crystallized for the project.
George Bodo is a financial and equity analyst and was among a number of analysts invited by Kenya Airways for a presentation before the launch of Project Mawingu. At the time, he questioned the viability and financing of the project.
The total funding for the 10-year period was about $3.6 billion. I figured out that up to 95% of this money would come from debt. And at that point, I looked at Kenya Airways' balance sheet and I figured out this thing is going to shred Kenya Airways' balance sheet, which actually did eventually. And secondly, I think that project invited what I call pilferage into the company. And pilferage has been a significant factor in who is winning which contract, who wants which contract, who's supplying what.
Former Mombasa Senator Hassan Omar was a member of the 2015 Senate Select Committee looking into the financial and management problems Kenya Airways was facing.
So I think that was just a sheer painful process where somebody decided to concoct a scheme, a plan to fleece the organization to personal benefit. And you look at the structuring, the kind of covert nature of some of the contracts and some of the special purpose vehicles which were enlisted in countries where their audit or accountability mechanisms were fairly opaque, like Mauritius.
Kenya Airways has been ailing because of two main reasons. One of them is deep-rooted corruption. The second one is incompetence.
Mike, not his real name, is a senior staffer at Kenya Airways with knowledge of the company's operations.
Very good idea. But again, it was mutilated and now came in, of course, the vested interests when they started buying aircrafts. These aircrafts were owned by different people. They have these special purpose vehicles whereby you pay the aircraft that the market values. That now ended up messing up Kenya Airways to the problems you have today. So to me, all in all, Naikuni did not offer much to Kenya Airways. I think that's where the problem started.
When Project Mawingu was happening, Airbus was trying to sell Kenya Airways aircrafts. Nothing wrong with that, that's business. And the Boeing, of course, was trying to sell us because they knew that we were expanding. I was also involved. We were doing studies in terms of looking at which aircraft was actually better for our needs. You know, the Dreamliner came with a lot of fuel efficiencies. And in each study that we did, the Dreamliner came out as the winning carrier than Airbus. But every time we did a study, we were asked to relook at it again. Now, KQ was supposed to be the launch customer for Dreamliner. But because of the interests with Airbus and within the company, there were so many interests going on. Politicians coming in on this issue.
Serious delays in the delivery of the 787s, whose delivery was postponed for over 3 years, didn't help the airline either. Finally, they came.
The first of the 6 787 Dreamliners is getting ready to taxi onto the takeoff. This has been a long wait for Kenya Airways.
Kenya Airways finally ordered the Boeing Dreamliners, but Ethiopian Airways had already beaten them in becoming the launch customer in Africa. But Kenya Airways' woes with planes were only just beginning. The purchase of Embraer jets under Project Mawingu has also raised concerns over how they were acquired. Two offshore companies, Samburu Limited and Amboseli Limited, technically known as special purpose vehicles, were used to purchase 10 Embraer ERJ-190s directly from their manufacturers.
The directors were opaque. The companies themselves did not necessarily reveal the ownership of those companies. It was done to cover up the true ownerships of these aircrafts and who actually devised that plan.
Under the Samburu Limited finance lease agreement, Afri-Exim Bank and Standard Chartered Bank provided a syndicated loan to Samburu Limited, which paid Embraer for 10 aircraft, held a title, and then leased the aircraft to Kenya Airways. Kenya Airways then paid back the loan to Afri-Exim and Standard Chartered Bank. According to the audit report, this financing arrangement increased the overall cost of each aircraft by $404,500, which is approximately 43.7 million shillings.
The whole area of who owns Samburu and Savo and the others, I think I mentioned earlier on that these companies are offshore companies owned by the lenders. And I think management can give you the details of who owns it and so forth. What I know is Exim, who are guarantors of the loans, are partly the owners. Standard Bank is also involved, and Barclays Bank are also involved.
According to the auditors, the SPV's shares are held by a quote-unquote unspecified charitable entity, and they are managed by Intertrust SPV Limited, which is also registered in the Cayman Islands, a well-known tax haven. The Embraer is a narrow-body aircraft, and after KQ acquired them, they were deployed to routes that were initially plied by wide-body aircrafts. This affected their efficiency as they were on many occasions unable to deliver passengers' luggage and goods on time. The difference between a narrow and a wide-body aircraft is the size of the fuselage. Just as the name suggests, a wide-body is wide, with a diameter of 5 to 6 meters and has double aisles, and a narrow-body aircraft has a diameter of between 3 to 4 meters and has a single aisle. Wide-body aircraft have capacity to carry more cargo.
Why would you acquire almost 10 Embraers? You want to create African dominance. You acquire aircrafts that do not necessarily fit into the business model. So here you are doing an Embraer aircraft which takes much less load, and you want to ship people to West Africa. Somebody arrives before his luggage.
There may also have been wrongdoing in sourcing for institutional lenders for the 10 Embraers. Officials of Kenya Airways and Afri-Exim Bank held discussions about financing of the aircraft from as early as June 2011, and a draft mandate letter between Kenya Airways and Afri-Exim Bank existed in February 2012. This was 1 month prior to the issue of tender requests sent out to the 16 selected financial institutions, including Afri-Exim. This might have given Afri-Exim Bank advantage over other bidders.
KQ made very many strategic mistakes. And it is still reflected at the schedule today. I'll give you an example. Bombay was always a wide-bodied destination. Any flight coming from Bombay had 12 to 15 tons of cargo, meaning in a month you do over 500 tons. Bombay used to produce, in cargo revenue alone, over $1 million, and I was in charge of it. I'm talking authoritatively. Every month, from cargo, it was $1 million. Airline is a mix of cargo and passenger. And as I said, airlines have very tight margins, hardly 10%. So the cargo is the profit. The rest will go to cost. Whatever you make in cargo in an airline should be a profit. That's a rule. Now, you remove the cargo, you'll have zero profit. You get it? Now, what does Kenya Airways start flying to India? Small aircraft, narrow bodies. straight away, $1 million revenue was whittled.
Kenya Airways is also accused of engaging in a buying spree earlier on, even before embarking on their expansion project.
So there are many things happening at that particular point. KQ was cash rich. KQ was investing in things that was not part of its core business. We were buying warehouses at the particular time. KQ was actually going on to a spending spree. I remember in the year 2007, I got a laptop. I was, was it 2007, 2008? 8 months later, brand new, I was given another laptop. I asked, why are we buying all these things? Huh? We're upgrading our phones. After 6 months later, I'm given another phone which costs quite a bit of money, 60,000 to 80,000 shillings. I was asking, furniture was being ordered. We were on a cash spending spree. KQ brings in the cash. The problem is how it spends it.
We scrutinize each and every procurement that we do. And in fact, we got to a level where it was being scrutinized at director level.
What is ailing Kenya Airways is just mismanagement, and what I will even call theft and having the wrong people and wasteful expenditure.
Brian, not his real name, was a senior member of staff in Kenya Airways, and he's accepted to speak to us on condition of anonymity.
Project Mawingu is about expansion, which is good because a company needs to expand to grow, to survive, to exist. But you don't expand by having one brand new aircraft. Passengers don't care about the age of an aircraft. Passengers care about the comfort of an aircraft.
Interesting. The goal of Project Mawingu was never achieved. Why? There are many issues. First and foremost, KQ lost precious human resource. And the most precious resource in any organization is human, intellectual. We had, here aircrafts came, but the capacity, intellectual capacity, the people who knew how to deploy the aircrafts had left the airline. And it takes years to train a network planner. Because most of the network planners were the people who also assess the viability of new aircraft purchase. See, when I go to JKA and I literally cry when I see that. I see aircrafts parked in the ground. Aircrafts are not supposed to be in the ground. They're supposed to be flying. And for me to, if you want to know an airline is making money, if you go to an airport and you see aircrafts parked, that airline is losing money.
Before Project Mawingu, Kenya Airways was making money. It was reporting positive bottom line, right? Project Mawingu kicked in like this, and a few things went wrong, and the company has never made any profit since then. And the company has since just been bleeding cash.
But if Project Mawingu was the start of Kenya Airways' problems, then these clouds would soon gather into a storm of more questionable decisions. And a change of leadership would not help Kenya Airways get through a turbulent future.